well?
I did.
Oh, good job. So we just arrived at Logan Boston International, whatever you call this airport. And funny enough, they've got a huge marathon on Monday.
Huge marathon. It's the marathon.
I guess it's the marathon. They rescheduled or something. But anyways, there's like no rental cars left. They usually go with budget. And the only thing that I could get, not even Enterprise had anything, was National. National was like the most smoothest, greatest rental car process that I've done yet. Literally just walked right out, got right into a car, and we're leaving already, like 5 minutes or less. So we're going to start our travels. We're going to head up north, actually north of Boston, because we're going to head up to Salem because it's October. And I have to state that because this video is probably not going to get posted before Halloween, but I think it'll still be a cool opportunity. And of course, we are traveling in Boston this week because we are doing a wedding in New Hampshire, and you might be like, why'd you fly into Boston? It was easier. So let's go.
So we made it to Salem, and we were starving. So we came into the Ugly Mug Diner, and this place is actually really cool. We had a super quick breakfast. Food came out really fast. I had some pancakes with an awesome cinnamon butter, and then Josh had a poutine. It was like a breakfast poutine, but this place is like really cool. There's crocheted eggs and bacon on the wall. Some of the like chandeliers, if you will, are made out of like carafes and other kitchen appliances, I guess. And then there's some really cool murals on the wall in here, but I'm glad we found this little place. It's a little hole-in-the-wall type place, if you will. But we're going to go explore Salem.
So we just left the restaurant, and we're now kind of hanging out in like, I don't know what you would call this, like main downtown Salem. But we just realized that they have a parade that's going to happen today, which is probably why it's maybe so busy right now. But this is a pretty cool place. So we just came into the National Park Service Salem,
Salem Visitor Center.
Oh, this is the Salem Visitor Center, which is run by the National Park Service, which is really cool. And, oh no, they have stamps, and I forgot my passport. Real quick, while I'm editing, you guys might be wondering, passport. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is my passport book for national parks throughout the United States. I picked it up on our California trip. Go back and check those out. It was so much fun. But I forgot to bring this with me. And inside, you can actually get it stamped. And, you know, since I didn't have it, I stamped other things so that I had the stamps. But anyways, back to the video.
What you just said?
So, what I was just doing was stamping my National Parks Service, National Parks passport stuff, which I threw in my book, which I got in California, and I left it at home. Taylor said something about it, and I forgot it. So, I just got like a postcard, which normally I would send home to myself, but I went back and I got stamped back there. And then they also have stamps with the date, so I got that. So I can add that to my book. So, let's go. That I find to be pretty cool. This land was once owned by Richard Moore, the only Mayflower passenger to move from Plymouth to Salem. Pretty interesting. So I just bought some postcards inside of the Salem Witch Village store, I think. I had to get one for myself, obviously, and some for our patrons, for all the support that they give to us. And I gotta tell you, I think we kind of hit Salem kind of at the worst and best possible time. And what I mean by that is that we get to see all of this really cool stuff that's going on. They've got a wax museum here, they've got haunted house. However, we hit it at the very worst because we don't have time to actually go and explore everything. And, you know, I mean, we really had no idea. They've got this ancient graveyard over here, which we're going to walk through, I think. Hopefully it's free to walk through. But you literally can't even read anything, I think, on the hedge, like on the stones. Like some of them are just like rocks. And it's really cool. So if you get a chance, definitely worth hitting this place up, especially during October, because they're kind of running these festivities the whole month. This is a little strange. We're kind of just walking the edge of the graveyard at the moment, and they've got all these rocks that are kind of just hanging out on the edge over here, which almost impossible to see. These are all engraved with people who have been hanged or hung here, whether it was directly here where these rocks are at or somewhere else. I don't know, but it's kind of
like a whole cemetery of it.
It's kind of creepy. What the heck is pressed to death? What level of torture was that?
So, like, Josh said that this is, like, strange and creepy. And I don't really think it is. I think it's almost, like, kind of sad. Like, when I started reading these, of, like, how these people were basically sentenced to death, it, like, felt really intense. Like, wow. I don't know. So one really cool thing here about Salem is once you're in here, basically just find a place to park. There are a bunch of parking lots, like metered parking lots, and then there's a bunch of parking garages, and you can pretty much just park there and walk everywhere. There's actually a red painted line on the ground. You can pretty much just follow it around, and it'll take you to all the historical sites you want to go to. So we pretty much did that. But one thing that's really cool, and I did not even think about this until we literally sat down for our little brunch this morning, was this is literally where they filmed Hocus Pocus. So of course I had to look all that up to see where we needed to go.
Oh, that's good.
Some guy just waved at the camera, but it was pointed at me and nowhere. Anyway, we found a few of the Hocus Pocus filming locations. So we went the whole way down to the Ropes mansion, and that was really cool. So I haven't watched Hocus Pocus a lot, but it was just cool to be somewhere where like a Disney movie was made, and yeah, this is awesome.
So we have officially left Salem, and we were actually in downtown Boston, or it's pretty much downtown Boston for as much as I know. And we're right by Faneuil Hall. We just got done having a few cocktails, really some drinks, in a place called Hennessy. And we're gonna go to an oyster house, I think, later for dinner, and do a dining review from there. So you guys will be able to check that out. I'm sure it'll probably be posted long before this video gets posted. But yeah, we're kind of just hanging out down here in Boston, walking around, checking out the sights, and experiencing it a little bit because it's very different than anything that we've done before. So exploring a little bit of Boston, I guess. And we decided to come into this place called Tiki Rock. They've got some amazing tiki drinks, I would think. We haven't tried any yet, but I'm super excited.
They're amazing, but we haven't
We just missed happy hour where they had oysters for only $1.
Oh.
And I would have definitely done some of those, but I've got the shark bait, which is made with tequila and not rum, which is really surprising. So I'm interested to try it.
You have to say shark. You cannot say shark.
Shark bait. It's really good. Tequila is almost non-existent, so it's very smooth. It's a little fruity, nice and almost that pineapple sour in there, which is really great. It's a good cocktail.
Are you not gonna do it?
So I don't know if you guys remember Matt. Well, obviously you should remember Matt, but Ashley and Mark, they were in one of our videos from
Mark, can you reach for me?
when the travel agents were down. So we're now going to do another.
Slide closer, girl.
We're going to do a boomerang.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
That was the worst.
Mark did not even move. We have to do that again.
That's as long as I started.
That was the worst one.
Today is our second day in Boston, and this is actually like the second or third time I've tried saying all this because I actually got a little bit emotional that we are like actually here. But today we are actually going to be doing the Freedom Trail, which is can be a self-guided walking tour. There's actually a red line that goes the whole way through Boston. We picked up a little Freedom Trail book at the visitor center, and we're gonna follow this around and just see a little bit of history here in Boston, basically from the Revolutionary era. This starts at Boston Common, and we were gonna walk and do this little talking, but I saw there is a little Freedom Trail starting point here, so I really want to get a picture of that before we get going.
So, one thing that I love about Boston so far is that it is exceptionally old. And when we talk about old things, how can you not talk about a graveyard, basically? And here is the granary, I believe, which is very interesting. Back in the day, which this was 1660, which is when this was kind of started. And back in the day, the church didn't really allow them to express themselves artistically, so the only way they could do that was through the tombstones. And you'll see that some of the tombstones have a skull with wings coming out of it, and that was just a way for them to symbolize that person and their soul leaving. So it's very interesting, it's very different, and I think it's amazing to actually kind of be here and to kind of be in the presence of something that is almost 400 years old. I mean, it's pretty crazy. So something really interesting that we learned while we were in here, that when they actually started first burying people in here, there were springs underground, and the springs actually started to push people and the caskets and all those things back up to the surface, which was really weird. But something else that's notable and worth noting is that John Hancock's in here, Paul Revere's in here, Benjamin Franklin's parents are in here, and again, what I love about Boston is that it's just so old and gives you this colonial feel, so to speak, and it's just cool is probably not the right word, but it is a very interesting place to be and walk around and just be around stuff that is literally hundreds and hundreds of years old. So we're gonna keep moving on because we've got a lot of stuff to see, and we probably spent way too much time in this graveyard.
So we have made our way onto School Street, and something very interesting is that the Boston Latin, America's oldest public school and like first public school, was actually built like right here. It's no longer here. They did end up tearing it down, and that was basically to expand King's Chapel. And it wasn't like they just recently tore that down. They did that back in the 1700s. But there is also a Benjamin Franklin statue here. He does have many ties to Boston. So yeah, it's really cool. There's a little like mosaic in the ground to commemorate the school, and then Ben Franklin statues there, and then Old City Hall is also behind me as well, which it's interesting because part of it now is a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. So very interesting that's what they did with it, but we're gonna keep moving along because we still have a lot of sights to see. There's 16 in total.
So we just made it to Faneuil Hall, and something that I want to make note of, which you might be able to see right away, is that here at Faneuil Hall they actually have a fallout shelter down below the building, which is really interesting. But this is also a National Parks Service place. So we're gonna go inside because they've got a gift shop in there with a bunch of things. So we're gonna go check it out.
Wait, let me take your picture right there.
So this is pretty cool.
This is awesome.
We are walking below the upper deck, the USS Constitution. I don't think I've ever been on like a giant sailboat. And look at these cannons. These are real, which is pretty cool. Oh, we made it to the last stop.
We did. Get a little warm right now. A little surprised about that, but the breeze is nice. But we've made it to Bunker Hill, the last stop on our Freedom Trail.
We can say that we've successfully walked the entire Freedom Trail today. It took us quite a while. I think we started around like 11 o'clock because there was a tour that was just getting started, and it is now, I think, like almost 3:37. And we did stop to eat lunch, and we spent probably like 15 minutes walking around in that first graveyard area there. But it was pretty cool, and it was really neat to see a lot of history because Boston is full of rich history. Maybe not a lot of culture, but full of rich history dating way back to the start of this entire country. And I gotta say, what has really actually made me most excited from this trip is going to the UK, because I feel like a lot of what we saw today, because so much of it is so old, 300-400 years old. You go over to the UK and there's, you know, and the rest of Europe, and there's just so many other things to see that are even older, which I think is really cool. So super excited. I think this was a pretty good trip, and yeah. What do you think?
Not only did I enjoy the history part of it, but I felt like we really got to see Boston. It wasn't like we were driving from site to site. We were actually walking through the city and then walking through North End. Like, we really got to see all of it. And I think this is a really good way to see Boston, and all of the history and everything about it is to do the Freedom Trail. There are tours and stuff that you can pay for. We decided to do it on our own. We did buy the little Freedom Trail walking guide book. I think it was like $8 in the shop. But you don't even need this. Literally all you need to know is that on the ground there are red bricks, and you literally just follow the red brick trail on the ground. And it literally takes you to every single site. And like Josh said, there's little audio things that you can listen to at each one, and you can also just like read all of the little inscriptions that they have on everything. But I like all the buildings and architecture here, and there's so many places to eat. I wish we had more time to eat. But yeah, I just like all the little hidden nooks and crannies that we saw along the way too.